Welcome to No Fear by 3triple. My name is Iiro Seppanen and I'm here with Jeb Corliss.
1, 2, 3, 4.
This is the first episode of season 2, and I would almost define this episode as a bridge episode between the first season and the second season. And it's just two of us this time. And last time we were taping the entire series in LA, and it was with our third partner, Pete Pepe, who's still in LA. And the two of us came here for the China World Wingsuit League China Grand Prix. And we're going to be interviewing some of the best wingsuit pilots and base jumpers that are around and ask them some interesting questions. But before we kind of give more about the upcoming season, let's recap a little bit about the highlights and the most talked moments about our season 1. There's some that created a lot of controversy, and there were some points that we got lots of the comments that people found our little 2 cents of wisdom quite helpful, and because that's ultimately what the purpose is. We wanted to have conversations that matter, that were real, and based on our background and experiences, that we were hoping that maybe we could share that people could live with less fear or learn maybe to harness the fear so they could live more fulfilling life.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, for sure.
And I think the main thing, like the biggest thing was the biggest controversy was generated by me. You had nothing to do with it, and it was part of the marketing of the episode. And I think I was releasing some of the Flying Dagger footage out there, and there was a segment where you said like we were talking about your feelings before a stunt, and then that kind of made you feel that you wanted to retire, and then in the end, what I left out that you totally doubled down and you decided to go it anyway. But that was the episode that reached the most views ever, and I think that so I apologize for all of the viewers, and I apologize if I broke your trust in that. So that was a little bit clickbaity to get more awareness.
Well,
for
yeah,
us.
you're trying to get people to watch. I get, and then they always do those kind of cliffhangers where they say things, and then you watch it, and you find out something totally different. What's funny about that is like every single person I've ever met contacted me and they're like, were you retiring? And the reason why people were wondering why I was retiring is because my entire life I've always said I won't retire. Like my whole life I've said I'm going to jump until I die or incapacitated. So it's just a bizarre thing. Even in my book, it talks about that. Like there's no way I'm ever stopping. The only way I stop is if I die. So I can see why it like struck people who know who I am. Well, that's just totally out of character. That's just not who this person is. It's not who this person has been for the last 30 years. So how out of all of a sudden, out of nowhere, is he going to just retire? And for me, it's like, whatever. I didn't realize how annoying it was going to be. If I had realized how annoying, I probably wouldn't have let you do it. But at the end of the day, it's okay. Because it just shows how many people actually cared. Like a lot of people really did, like were concerned and worried and cared about, and which I was
a lot of people
of.
were like really like happy for you. Then it's like, oh my God, we're so happy for you. Now you're gonna live old and be happy. And like kind of those who don't know you expected that now you suddenly start living a boring life and not doing anything risky in your life anymore.
Well, yeah, I mean, I've definitely chilled out. I mean, the last couple of years I've calmed down and I've just been having fun, being with my fiance at the time and basically hanging out and just having a good time. That's what I was doing for the last 2 years, but we'll see how it goes now. It looks like I'm starting to feel like jumping again. So maybe in the next year, I'm going to start doing some stuff again because I'm looking forward to it.
And we're talking about base jumping here because now you live in Florida and you've been a little bit skydiving. And
I still skydive. I've been skydiving. But yeah, as far as base jumping is concerned, I've been skydiving the whole time. I never stopped that. But I haven't base jumped in almost 2 years, so it's been a little while. And it wasn't for any real reason. It's just, I just didn't have projects, and if you don't have projects, I kind of got to the point where it's like I've jumped enough for fun, or to just do it. So now it's project based. So if there's no projects, then I'm not jumping. Just so happened there hasn't been any projects for the last couple of years. So, but I think that this coming year, I'm going to do it even without projects. I'm going to just go and actually just start jumping again just for fun. Which is weird because I've never really just jumped for fun, like
for a long time,
ever. It's funny. I had a lot of fun doing it, and that's how I have to get. I've had fun base jumping, but that was never my motivation. I wasn't motivated by having fun. It's weird. It's hard to kind of describe it. In the early days, my motivation was trying to cope with really serious mental like problems. Like I had a mental disorder, and I was using base jumping as a way, as like a coping mechanism. I was basically kind of running from from issues. But what was funny is it was in the beginning, it was running from issues. But because of the horror and the fear and the death and the destruction and the pain and the suffering, it actually was cathartic and helped me work through a lot of my issues, which I wasn't expecting. I didn't know that would happen, but it's what happened. So I started actually feeling a lot better after, 30 years of doing it, and now I actually feel pretty good. But I realized that, even sometimes when you feel like everything's okay, like you feel like you've gotten over things and you've worked through everything and, I'm just a happy person now, all of a sudden things will happen that you're like, oh, no, it's still in there. So I go into hibernation for periods, but it looks like I'm coming out.
Okay, well, I'll come filming. Let me know where and when.
I will.
And a lot of the things that we were offering our 2 cents about, like hopefully helping people to, like I mentioned, live with less fear. And but there was one thing that fell in my own lap, because the episode that we did on addiction, like I think it was called drugs versus adrenaline, which was quite interesting. And I think you had a very good speech there, because I, like when we talked already in that show. So obviously my history, I've always liked to party. When I was younger, I grew up in Finland, so drinking alcohol was kind of a social norm. So you went out, you drank alcohol, and I wasn't drinking that much anymore. But then after my injury, I didn't do any of the opiates. Only I did like after my surgeries for about a week, and then I stopped doing opiates and I started smoking weed. Yeah, and then that became a bad habit. So,
like a crutch, yeah.
Yeah, so rather than I had a good excuse because I'm still in chronic pain. Yeah. And I think the whole 377, what we stand for is being present here in this very moment. And I felt like I was such a fraud because if I'm smoking pot, I'm not really being here present in this moment. And so I hate to be telling other people how they should live. And I feel like I was such a hypocrite that's building a brand that is supposed to being here right now, and then kind of numbing my reality and not being present in the moment. So for me, just starting to do the podcast, I think it was almost like this watershed moment for me, kind of like a chapter that really changed my life, because I started to take better care of myself. So I realized I have to have other ways to deal with my pain rather than just trying to numb my feelings. Mm-hmm. And smoking weed also had been a kind of an emotional blanket, because when you get stoned, you don't know about this, but I can explain because you've never done any type of drugs. So it's also a way to avoid any type of feelings and negative feelings rather than confronting them and dealing with them and getting over them. It's kind of you just put them on a side burner somewhere and concentrate on different things. So the first thing that I started to do was that I wanted to lose some weight. So the less weight I would have, the less my ankle would hurt. Mm-hmm. And then I gave myself a deadline. So by the time I turned 50 this summer, so I would start a new chapter in life. I would stop drinking. I would stop partying. I would stop smoking pot entirely. And,
I'm impressed.
And I feel great.
I've known you a long time, and I'll be honest with you. I never thought I'd hear the day that it would happen. And I'm actually, when you told me you were going to do that, I'm like, wow, dude, more power to you. I hope you're able to do it, because I knew, I'm like, it will make your life a better place. It just will.
Yeah, I think so, because I think it's not nice to be 50-year-old and pothead anymore, and in that sense, and anything in drinking. So I wasn't drinking anyhow that much and these days anymore, but I'm not getting any younger at these days. So I just wanted to see how many working years I have left. I'm 50 years old now. Maybe I have 15, if lucky, 20 years. So if I don't use any type of substances, how much I can strive and how much I'm going to feel better, how much I feel energized, how much more I can turn that into energy, into being productive and be creative. So for me, that was an important thing that I wanted to change, and also being a better example for my kids.
Yeah, and it's the story about my friend who basically smoked weed all the time and was trying to tell me that, if you smoke weed, it'll make a double bacon cheeseburger taste so good. That's the one that kind of got you.
That was the one, because I was thinking, and I think it's the kind of the punchline of the joke, that you wanted to distinguish the difference between real experience as they are. And
well, it's basically, I didn't want to take a substance that made mediocrity amazing. Yeah, that was the main thing. It's like, dude, I get it, but I don't want a double Western bacon cheeseburger to taste so good. I want good food to taste good and bad food to taste bad, and I want to be able to discern the difference between the two. So the last thing I want to do is take a substance that makes lame shit cool, you know?
Yeah.
Because I think boredom's important because boredom is what forces you to get up off your couch, go out in the world and do things with your life. But there's something kind of funny because as we were talking about this, like you were discussing like, you know, how that had an impact on you. And that was one of the moments that you're like, oh, maybe I should think about that. And I was like, oh, that's cool. I'm glad that it, you know, because that story, it had impact on me, you know, but all of a sudden I started thinking about like my life and like, you know, because I've always been against addiction. Like I don't like addiction. I don't even consider base jumping an addiction. I've always thought of base jumping more as therapy, like something else, a philosophy, like different kinds of things, but never an addiction. And I still don't. But there are things that I am addicted to. And what was weird is I never thought about it. But all of a sudden, you know, there were two key addictions I have. And one of them is probably the most abused drug on earth, period. And no one thinks of it as a drug, but it is. And it's processed sugar. Like quite literally, I was so addicted to sugar that I put on 40 pounds just eating the stupidest shit. Just like a guy like cakes and donuts I was literally killing myself with food. And it was a specific food, you know, sugar just triggers a part of my brain, you know, that I just can't eat enough of it. Like I just eat and eat and eat and eat and eat and eat and I just won't stop. And all of a sudden, you know, I kind of, you know, for the years that I've been alive, I've always kind of known I had an addiction because anytime I'd see a cookie, I'd be like, and I'd have to like struggle not to eat it. And every meal that I had, I'd have to fight like not to eat. Like, and you can't win that fight all the time because you just have this like, it's constantly there. You constantly are thinking about it. And so I realized, I'm like, wow, I actually have an addiction. Like, right? It's not cocaine or crack, but it could be worse. I mean, sugar could be worse than those things. Or at least processed sugar, right? Processed sugar, I mean, it kills you. I mean, it causes all kinds of health disorders. And, you know, and it makes you overweight. And being obese, unfortunately, is you don't live as long. It's not healthy for you, you know? So all of a sudden, I'm like, man, I need to, you know, I talk about, you know, how much, you know, and I think they're good points, you know, and I believe them. So I'm like, if I have to stop sugar. I just have to. And I really thought it was going to be tough. Like, I'm like, oh man. But, you know, it hasn't been long. I've only stopped about 3 weeks ago. It might be a month now. So it hasn't been a long time. But what's funny is so far I have no cravings at all. Like I look at stuff and it's like, oh yeah, I remember that used to taste good. But all of a sudden my brain, I started seeing sugar as really unhealthy. And actually kind of poisonous because what it does, it spikes insulin, right? And as it spikes insulin, that causes all kinds of real big problems. Like it helps you, it makes you hold on to cholesterol, which clogs arteries, which is really not good for you. You know, it does anyways, there's a lot of bad things that it does. And at the end of the day, I'm kind of like, it makes you fat, which is also unhealthy and really not good for you. And I realized, yeah, okay, I need to stop. And now I'm not feeling it. Like maybe for the first couple of days, but then every time I would look at it, I'm like, it's poison. I just changed the concept. It does not taste good. It's poison.
I think it's important how you frame it and what's the story that you tell for yourself.
Yeah.
And then like, you know, oh, it's going to be difficult, and it will be difficult. But I think I've talked about like just the substance abuse to many of my friends who had like gone like to meetings, and for them that's been a real problem for a long time. And they kind of explain the timeline. Usually they say that it's like the first 2-3 months are quite easy. So now I'm about 2 months into my sober journey, and the same thing as you, it's been quite easy. So like, I mean, there's a couple of the triggers where I think it's been like a kind of like a fast forward or a shortcut to be creative. And I've kind of contributed that, some of my greatest inventions and some of my like artwork that I do, collages, have been because I got baked. But it's never because of the drugs. It's always been like the innovation and the creativity comes from me. So so I kind of also changed that story that I've been telling about myself. And they said after 3 months, it's going to get a little bit more difficult because that's kind of like we've learned how to lube. It's almost been a gasoline to our brain if we use a certain type of substance, and then you can kind of work through it. But then it's going to take a while. And after 3 months, when you kind of your body realizes like, okay, I'm not going to get my like substance that like gasoline, and then it takes another 3 months until you start kind of creating new ways of thinking and kind of how your body actually starts settling in. So we can do more of these podcasts in about 6 months and see where we are. You're going to be super fit and.
Well, I mean, we'll see how it goes. So far, though, I feel really good, and I know from my history that I have a strong will. Like and when I make a decision to do something, I usually do it.
No, you've been great. I remember when you were younger and you said, okay, I'm going to get a really cool, like a good body, and I'm going to get a 6-pack and 8-pack. And like it took you a long, like not that long, because then you committed. So there is no balance with you. There's all the, like, it's all or nothing. And then, like, but it's not like, the finding the middle ground in anything that you've ever done in your life.
No, I've never had balance. And that's not necessarily a good thing, but I am focused and I do accomplish stuff because of it, and that's, and it's funny because so one of the addictions was sugar that I kind of realized, but the other one I think is going to be a lot trickier because, and this is an addiction that most people don't think about, but what the funny thing about this addiction is it's reminds me a lot of weed, like people who smoke marijuana. And it reminds me a lot of that burger story, right? It reminds me a lot of, the weed makes mundane, boring things fun or tolerable or okay. And there's something that we're all using that does the same thing. And I didn't make the connection till actually recently because I've been doing a lot. I mean, I've been spending a lot of time on my cell phone. And you have you can see your little it's like I'm averaging over 4 hours a day on my cell phone. And I'm like, why am I doing that? And all of a sudden I started realizing, oh, it's another addiction, man. I'm addicted to this shit. And I wake up in the morning. So I'll wake up at like 9 o'clock, right? And then I'll go, let's check, see what's going on. So you get on your phone, you're reading some emails, you're looking at whatever. And then you're just like scrolling around. And all of a sudden it's like, oh, it's 11 o'clock. Maybe I should go do something. And it's like, oh, I just blew like how many hours of my day, literally, like before I even got out of bed. And then, I started noticing it with, my fiance, that we're in the same room with each other. And we're both on our phones. We're not really interacting. And you're just kind of like, well, this is not acceptable. Like, this is weird. And you start seeing that it actually starts causing, like separation or distance between the people you love and care about, and you go to like a family event and like everyone's on their phones and you're like, why are we in the same room together? Why do we come here to hang out if we're just going to all be on our phones? And even my mom, like she came to visit me recently and we hadn't seen each other in like 6 months. I mean, it'd been like so long, and she showed up and like half the time she was on her phone. I just kept looking at her going, Mom, put your phone down. Like, what are you doing? But I was on my phone too. So all of a sudden I'm like, oh my God, I have an addiction to my phone. And it may be just as insidious as how I see marijuana, right? Because again, a lot of people don't think marijuana is a bad problem. But for me, I think the problem is that it makes boring shit fun. So what happens is I'm bored, so I'll take out my phone, and now I'm not bored anymore. But now I'm not doing anything.
Yeah.
And so that whole thing, like I said, boredom's important because boredom forces you to do stuff, right? Like what I noticed when I put my phone down, it's like, oh, I need to go feed the tortoises. And then, oh, I need to go do something with the lawn. And oh, I need to do some dishes, or I need to, you get shit done, at the house, like things that you just need to do. And then when you're done with all that stuff, if you don't go to your phone, it's like, well, maybe I should go out and do something.
Yeah, and I think I'm really grateful that we didn't have phones when I grew up, because like I learned some skills. I became a world-class magician because I got bored and I had a deck of cards and I just sat in front of a mirror for hours and days and months, and I became good and I built something out of myself. So I think that's such an extra challenge for kids these days to be strong, and for the parenting to be strong, and not
well, and they don't know what it's like to be bored. They don't understand what that sensation really even is because they're constantly being stimulated. They're in a constant state of constant
and it's a dopamine addiction because that's what your phones are constantly producing. And
and it's not just that; it's phones, it's video games, it's social media. It's like there's nonstop things to just be active. Like your brain is in a constant state of activation, and it's actually kind of important to have downtime where your brain just can like chill, and you can just be calm and quiet. And almost like, I hate to say it because it sounds like hippie, but be in nature, like go outside. Like when we were kids, we spent most of our life outdoors, climbing trees and making forts and doing all kinds of weird games. We played with sticks. I mean, it's like, because we didn't have anything to play with, there wasn't anything. And we had to get creative. So it made your mind work. You had to be creative in order to like do stuff. And it made you interact. Like you went to find other kids your own age so that you could do things together, so you had something to do. Kids don't interact anymore. You know, unless parents force them together on play dates and stuff, which are all weird and strange, and all they're doing is playing video games or watching, watching their phones. So you're just kind of sit back and go, man. And now you're actually seeing with the modern generation, like how broken and how difficult it is for them to do the most basic things.
And did you read that? I think there was an article a month ago or 2 months ago came about the ChatGPT, like how that affects and how it dumbers us, because there were like two study groups, and the other one were allowed to use the ChatGPT and the other one weren't. And like how the people who didn't search for answers and didn't have to think creatively to find solutions for problems didn't use that much, didn't use much of their power. So in the long run, it's like all this technology and access to AI, it's going to dumb the whole civilization in some ways. We have more information, but in like what we can individually start doing and think, I think it's going to get more limited.
I don't doubt that. I mean, I would love to see the study. That's always interesting when you hear stuff like that, because it's like, wow, how long would that study have to be to even like see a change in a brain? It's that's kind of interesting. But beyond that, AI in general is just fascinating, like what's coming and how quickly it's happening, and things that I never would have even imagined. Like you would think AI, okay, it's going to build cars and do manufacturing, and maybe even you can get it to like do like agriculture stuff. You thought those were like the first things that were going to go, and even maybe drive full self-driving cars, and delivery services and those kinds of things. You didn't think writing would be taken away, right? That AI was going to become creative and make art and be able to do movies and videos and literally create real characters that look human and move like human and speak like human and think like human. And you're like, that was like not even maybe 100 years from now. But what's fascinating is that's like the first thing. And then all of a sudden, you start hearing the real smart people who know what's going on with AI start saying things that are really scary, which is, I think Bill Gates, and I forget who the other one was, but it really these are the people who are behind AI. They're making AI work. They're using it, doing it, and they know where it's going. And they said crazy stuff like between the next 5 and 10 years, there won't be doctors or lawyers. AI will be doing all of that work. And you're like, oh, because I kind of got full self-driving, which by itself is crazy, right? Like, if you think about how many people make a living from driving semis, like moving cargo around, all the UPS and FedEx and then all the Uber drivers and taxi drivers, we're talking 30 million jobs. And some of them, especially
only in the U.S.
Well, that's just the United States. But just think about it. In the United States, 30 million jobs, and some of them, like truck drivers, are well-paying jobs. And when those are gone, and we're talking 5 years from now, this isn't like 100 years from now. This is the next 5 to 10 years. And it's crazy how fast it's moving. So think about losing all those jobs. It's 30 million. Then think about losing all the doctors and all the lawyers and all the CPAs and you're just like, whoa, that's huge. It's gonna have, I think AI is probably, and when you hear people talk about it who know more than I do, it's always like it's going to change the very foundation of humanity. And what I think is fascinating is there's obviously been lots of technologies throughout time that have changed humanity, but this is happening faster at a rate that never has anything been this quick. And I think I think a lot of people are kind of not fully understanding. They have ChatGPT and they kind of like, oh.
Yeah, and they say like it's not, you don't lose jobs to AI, you lose jobs to people who can use and utilize AI.
That's what they're saying now. But guess what? For the time being, but it's happening so quick that you're going to start losing jobs.
Yeah, I'm sure. I was really worried about that, but now the latest 2 updates on ChatGPT, I'm not worried about like computers taking humans and AI taking humankind anymore. So stupid.
Try using Grok.
Oh yeah, well.
Let's see how that goes. Anyways, that's another.
Yeah, well, that is with the theme of no fear and about the fear. So there is definitely a lot of fear that people are feeling about the changing the world around us. And
what it is the unknown scares everybody, right? So when you don't know something and you don't know where something's going to go and you don't know how something's going to turn out, it just creates an unease in a person that can be translated into fear, And we don't know what's going to happen with AI. And honestly, what's fascinating is every movie ever made about AI has been bad. Like, there's just no question. There's not a movie where that AI came into existence and became self-aware and it turned out good for humanity. Never.
No, that's a boring movie. I wouldn't go to the theater and watch that.
You want to watch Terminator, where it tries to wipe out humanity. But this is, I guess, what's also interesting is if you look back through history, and this isn't just humans. Like, a lot of people are like, oh, you're anthropomorphizing. I get whatever that word is.
Don't ask me.
Well, you're basically putting human emotions into machines or other or animals. But this is the thing. I forget humans for a second. Just look at nature. What happens when a more advanced species come in contact with a less advanced species?
Wipe them out.
How does it ever work out for the less advanced species? No matter what you're talking about, let's talk about wolves or anything.
Yeah.
And when you sit there and you see that, you're like, oh, we're creating a more advanced, more intelligent creature than ourselves. And that's going to be very fascinating to see what happens when that creature becomes self-aware. You know, will it see us as a threat? Will it see us as a problem? I mean, all science fiction seems to think so. And what's weird is science fiction has a tendency to predict the future in some strange way. So we're in for a real exciting time. And we are living in a very exciting period. And I actually kind of can't wait to see it because there's no avoiding it. It's not stopping. No one's going to stop it. So we're just going to have to be here and watch it.
Oh, well, cool. Well, we'll wait for that to happen. And so that was the recap from the season 1 with the twist of AI. And I think now we can a little bit talk about what's going to lay ahead for the season 2. So as I said in the beginning of this podcast, that we are here in China, then in an event that we both created, and it's the biggest wingsuit base jumping event in the world, and we've been doing this since year 2000. Year 2012.
Yep.
And now it's the 11th time when we get 16 some of the world's best wingsuit pilots. And the plan is that we sit them down. We're going to have you and me are going to ask them questions. And then some of them are like our heroes and like the most well-known guys out there who've done incredible things. And some of them we already known from the past. There's like Dan Darby, who's one of our Ronans, like 377 Ronan. And I exchanged some emails with him, and he said that when he was like a 14-year-old boy, he painted our logo on his wall, and his like a bedroom wall, and he didn't really know what the meaning was. But I want to talk to him about that and what's the kind of a purpose for 377 being in his life, and who else is coming. We can maybe show some highlights. I'll tell some highlights of the other athletes who are here in China this year.
Well, I mean, Chuma's here, and Chuma has 9,300 base jumps. He's got the most base jumps of anyone in the world. And honestly, when he told me how many jumps he had, it kind of shocked me a little bit. I could never have imagined that someone could do that many base jumps without dying. So it's fascinating, you know, so that's kind of, I hope we get to talk to him because that will be an interesting
I'd love that because I've been posting, like I've been ripping off all your videos on social media now for the last 6 months, and I've been recycling your old footage. And then when I do like acrobatics, obviously you're my friend, and not even that you're my friend. I think you're an incredible like a base jumper, and I said like, here's a amazing one, the best acrobatic jumper or something like highlighting you, and then there's like, no, Chuma is the best highlight. So now we're gonna have the two greatest acrobatic base jumpers in the world, and
it's not even close. Chuma was a gymnast. He's way. It's not even on the same. It's not even the same universe. We're not even talking about the same sport. He's so much better at acrobatics than me. It's not even funny. But you have to understand, I was doing this 30 years ago.
Yeah.
You know, so in my era.
No, you were like there was Twain, Slim, and then you there was the three of you like who were doing, and then you basically created the style of like how you practice acrobatic base jumping, and now in the next generation, obviously what happens in any sport takes it for granted and evolves and takes the torch and carries it much further.
Well, and he's done so many jumps too, so he does so much jumping. He trains so hard. And he's got, and he does way more, and his acrobatics are way better than mine. That's just all there's to it. I personally think mine were more stylish, but whatever. But style doesn't mean too much. His are much more complex, much more difficult, way more flips, way more twists, way more, and from lower altitudes. And so there's no, it's not really subjective. He's better than me, and not by a little bit, by like a lot. But again, I'm also old and I don't care.
And I think that's him, and then it's an Aurelian, like they both do like tandem BASE-jump. So I think that will be interesting to talk about, like how they perceive fear and risk in that environment when they have to take someone who has no experience in base jumping into the most dangerous and deadly environment and held it together. So that's another conversation we're gonna be having, and maybe if we can talk to Ambrosi, like he takes people for wingsuit tandems. Like,
Does he? I think you're thinking of LeBlanc does that.
no, I think Ambrosi, like I've seen the
He
video.
does too?
Yeah, I saw it. Like I made a promotion video for the World
Really?
Wingsuit League, and I saw him do it, and I want to talk to him about it because I didn't even know no one was doing it.
I knew we actually, like, I think the first one we came back to WWL, we did them here. So we actually took a bunch of influencers on wingsuit, tandem wingsuit jumps. I think like 4 different guys. So I knew it did, and it was LeBlanc is the one who was doing it, but he must be working with LeBlanc because LeBlanc's the one who designed and developed the whole thing.
Oh, okay.
So he must be like, because LeBlanc, he must be one of LeBlanc's instructors.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's the only way I can think of it, because it's a very rare thing. It's a very special technique, and the rules and regulations. I mean, LeBlanc worked really hard on that, so I know that he's behind it.
Yeah. Well, he's one, and then I think David Lafayette. Like I think he's a really funny guy. Like
super funny.
Yeah. So I think it will be interesting, and I don't know. Like I mean, he seems like a really nice guy, but then sometimes when he goes like a kind of a theme of fear, like, I mean, we can talk about maybe a lot of people like myself, we have, and yourself, like, I mean, when we deal with truly horrific stuff, we can use humor as a coping mechanism in certain things. So, but he's just a generally fun guy as well.
Well, he's just funny, but it's true. Like anyone who deals with death, especially, usually create a dark humor comes. You know, that's in military, that's in, base jumping, that's in any sport or activity that involves like genuine scary risk where bad things do happen. The only way you cope with those things, I mean, you can either cry about it or you figure out a way to tell a joke that makes you laugh about it. And a lot of people don't understand who aren't part of this, and they sometimes think it's dark and just mean, but it's not. It's just it's a coping mechanism like everything else. So when you're dealing with really heavy, nasty, horrible stuff, sometimes you just have to tell a joke to try to make yourself feel better about it.
Yeah. And I think if I remember from my top of my guy, and then there's Jenna is here as well. So I think it's interesting to talk, like she's the only female pilot who's joining this year.
This year, yeah.
And there's been like, I think since year one, like when we started to do, we've always had a female pilots, but I think now the race has evolved so much. Yeah. So like, I mean, there's always been a benefit and advantage for men because we're heavier and we're stronger. So maybe
bigger, like taller, yeah.
So it's been like when the speed races and it's been easy for men, but I think now with the discipline, including accuracy and target hitting, so I think that puts everyone on the same level, and it will be interesting to find.
Well, there's absolutely no question that when it comes to target striking, men do not have an advantage. So that's the one competition where men and women can have it. It's just it doesn't matter how big you are, it doesn't matter how fast you are, it just matters how accurate you are, and a woman can be just as accurate as a man. So that's a place where she has a chance to actually like beat men or, compete with men. The speed race is a little challenging because women are just smaller frame. It's harder for them to fly fast because in wingsuits, it's all about gravity, weight, and surface area. So if you have a big surface area and a lot of weight, you can just go faster. That's all there is to it. So she's always going to be at a disadvantage. But what's fascinating is that up until now, whenever we had women competitors, they were always in last place. It's just how it was. It's not. We just started seeing that it's the weight really does matter, But she's the first woman to come here and not be in last place. Like because she's such a competitor. She flies so hard that she's actually, I think last time I don't think she was in the top 8, but she was not last. So that was good. I'm like, okay, not bad. So this year she's doing really good. So we'll see. We'll see how it goes.
And then someone who I'm really looking forward to talk, like, I mean, this will be interesting. I think a lot of the podcast episodes will be beginning of a joke. So there will be a Finn man, or like a French man, an American, so there's a lot of different nationalities represented here. And I think Philippe is one of the guys who flies through the whole little holes. Yep. And I think that's interesting, like what started here in China in 2012 when you flew to the mountain. And now like he's become like this specialist. I think there's some guys who are really good in certain things. And I think he's really specialist of like identifying, scouting, and finding these little holes that
And then flying through all of them.
and flying through them. I think he has like, I don't know, at least a handful, maybe more. They're like
I'm not sure how many. It's like 5 or 6, I think, which is a lot, because how many holes are there in mountains? It's, but he's definitely making it his mission to fly through as many as he can.
Yeah, and then also talking to Jeb Corliss, like from South Africa, because I think I was doing some of the promotional videos, and it's amazing how he can flare at the end of it. So there's like, usually you look at something, there's a flight, and then you can see a way out. But like you watch his footage, and there's no way out. So like, I mean, the ground is just getting more flat, and then like what he does, he masters is a kind of the flare on a wingsuit and opens the parachute. So
well, and he's also packing his parachute slider down. So, most of the time a lot of people who don't jump don't know what that means. But there's 2 types of jumping. There's slider up and there's slider down. So slider up jumps are usually what you do when you're doing terminal velocity jumps, meaning that you're jumping off an object high enough to where you pick up enough speed where you need to actually slow down the opening of the parachute or else it will hurt you. Slider down means that you're going from such a slow speed because you're only taking a couple seconds that you then need, and you're so close to the ground that you have to, your parachute has to open very fast. So that's called slider down because a slider is a braking system that slows down openings of parachutes. So up until now, if you jump with, like, let's say you jump off a cliff and you're going terminal velocity and you try to open a parachute without a slider, it can kill you. The opening can be so hard and so fast that it can actually end your life. But what the wingsuit pilots are doing now is because of these massive flares, they can slow down to like slider down speeds. And because of that, they take the slider off. And the reason they do that is because then they can fly as close to the ground as possible. And then they can actually, as they start the flare, they can deploy and they won't lose altitude. So it's now, after talking to JJ, I'd like to discuss this more with him when we see him. But he says now he only jumps slider down in wingsuits, which shocked me. I mean, he did a whole season of nothing but slider down jumps for wingsuits every jump. And he said that for him now, when he's flying on terrain that's underneath him, he won't jump because he needs to have instant parachute. And a lot of people on the base fatality list have died from, doing like emergency pulls and then sniveling into the ground and dying. But if they didn't have a slider, they would have survived because basically the parachute would have opened so fast, they would have had a canopy and then they wouldn't have gotten killed. So he's now looking at it as a safety mechanism.
And I think this season, like last season, we had very strong topics, and they were like, if you're a failure, if you're a dead. So I think this season will be targeted more towards the like it's open for everyone, but more towards the skydiving community, because I think it's going to be quite technical. We're going to be talking about skydiving, but I think we should also try to keep it like, I think it's interesting because everyone who ends up doing this activity have a story to tell, and so I think like what we should try to tap into is to find out the motivation, because what and how would they identify with the spirit of 377, which ultimately is accepting death to be present here in this moment. So I think those are the conversations that I'm especially looking forward to have, is to finding the motivation and what drives these individuals to strive in this such a dangerous sport, and what are they like origin stories, how did they create the tools. And so I'm really looking forward to these conversations that we're going to be having in the next week or so.
Well, we're in China for a week, so we'll see. We'll get as many as we can. It's hard because they're competing, so they're jumping all day and then they're packing, but we're going to get some. Yeah,
we'll squeeze them. We'll as many. We can't promise how many we'll do, but we'll do as many as possible. So this was it. So this was kind of the little bridge between the season 1 and season 2. The next episodes that you'll see, that instead of us two, there will be a third person who's a world famous skydiver and base jumper, and then we'll tap into those same things that we were just discussing about. And I'm really excited to continue where we left off with the last season, and hopefully keep the connection with you, audience, and continue to offer you always words of inspiration and courage. And
it'll be fun.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you, everyone. So make sure that you subscribe and share this video for your friends. And we're looking forward to sending you more videos. We're going to publish one every second week. So tune back to our channel 377 on YouTube and Facebook, and we'll see you then. Thank you very much.
Awesome. Thanks, man.